The messenger's choice. Lieutenant Maya Chen stood before the towering gates of the Centauri Coalition outpost, her heart steady despite the overwhelming presence of the Novarian guard blocking her path. The alien's crystalline form caught the light of the binary stars overhead, sending prismatic patterns dancing across the station's metallic walls. The guard's multifaceted eyes studied her with an intensity that would have made most humans flinch. Maya didn't. 6 years of deep space operations had taught her that showing weakness to alien species rarely ended well. Access denied. The Novarian's voice resonated through the air, each word accompanied by subtle color shifts in its crystalline structure. Humans are not permitted beyond this point. Maya's hand instinctively moved to the small wooden box strapped to her belt. Not electronic storage, not quantum data crystals, but actual carved wood. Earth oak, to be precise. Inside lay something the Council claimed would change everything. "I have clearance," Maya replied, her voice firm. She'd rehearsed this moment countless times during the 3-week journey from Earth. Special authorization from both Earth Command and the Centauri Coalition. The Novarian's crystalline form pulsed with deep purple light. Amusement, perhaps, or disbelief. Many humans claimed special authorization. None possessed true understanding. Maya unclipped the wooden box, her movements deliberately slow and non-threatening. The Novarian surface rippled, defensive protocols activating, but Maya merely held the box out before her. "This isn't about authorization," she said. "It's about this." The box itself was unremarkable, save for one detail. Carved into its surface was a symbol that predated human spaceflight. The same symbol that adorned every Novarian installation across known space. The guard's crystalline surface froze, colors cycling rapidly through its form. Maya had been briefed about this possibility, but seeing it in person was something else entirely. The Novarian was shocked. "Where did you acquire this?" The guard's voice had changed, harmonics shifting to frequencies that made Maya's teeth ache. "That's what I'm here to explain," Maya replied. "But not here. Not in the open." For several long moments, neither moved. The binary stars continued their eternal dance overhead, casting ever-shifting shadows across the station's landing pad. Finally, the Novarian's form settled into a deep blue hue. "Show me the contents." Maya's fingers traced the box's intricate carvings before finding the hidden catch. The lid opened with a soft click, revealing its contents. A single piece of rough-hewn stone, covered in markings that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. The Novarian guard's reaction was immediate and dramatic. Its crystalline form blazed with brilliant white light, forcing Maya to shield her eyes. When she could see again, the guard had moved aside, the massive gates beginning to part behind it. "You will follow," the Novarian commanded, its voice now carrying harmonics Maya had never heard in their species before. "And you will explain how humans came to possess a waystone." Maya stepped through the gates, her boots clicking against the station's strange, almost organic flooring. "That's just it," she replied, securing the box back to her belt. "We didn't find it. We made it." The guard's colors shifted to a deep, midnight blue. "Impossible. The art of waystone creation was lost even to us, centuries before your species learned to harness fire." Maya allowed herself a small smile. Impossible is what humans do best. As they moved deeper into the station, Maya reflected on the briefing that had led her here. 3 months ago, a research team in the Atacama Desert had discovered something extraordinary. Beneath the world's driest desert lay the remnants of an ancient human civilization, one that had achieved technological marvels long before recorded history. Among the artifacts they'd recovered was a formula, preserved in ways that defied explanation. A formula for creating what the ancients had called waystones, devices that could bridge not just space, but understanding between species. The guard led her through twisting corridors that seemed to reshape themselves as they passed. Other Novarians they encountered stopped and stared, their crystalline forms pulsing with colors Maya couldn't begin to interpret. Others will want to verify your claim," the guard said finally, stopping before a doorway that rippled like liquid metal. "They will test you. Test the stone. If you have brought falsehood here, test all you want," Maya replied, her confidence genuine. "But prepare yourselves for what the results will mean." The door parted, revealing a chamber filled with Novarian elders, their ancient crystalline forms glowing with accumulated wisdom. Maya took a deep breath and stepped forward. This was why she'd been chosen, not just to deliver a stone, but to help bridge a gap millions of years in the making. The human race was about to prove it was far more than the young, upstart species the galaxy believed it to be, and Maya Chen was about to help rewrite history itself. Beyond the barrier, the chamber of the Novarian elders pulsed with living light, their crystalline forms arranged in a perfect geometric pattern that made Maya's eyes blur if she tried to follow it for too long. 7 ancient beings, their structures shot through with veins of what looked like pure starlight, focused their collective attention on the wooden box in her hands. "Open it again," commanded the central elder, its voice resonating at frequencies that made the chamber itself hum in sympathy. "Let us witness what you claim to have created." Maya's fingers found the hidden catch once more, but this time she noticed something different. The wood felt warm, almost vibrating against her skin. As the lid lifted, the waystone within seemed to respond to the presence of the elders, its surface markings flowing like quicksilver. "Impossible," whispered one of the elders, its form flickering between shades of deep purple and electric blue. "The resonance pattern. It's genuine." The central elder's form shifted, extending a crystalline appendage toward the stone. "May I?" Maya hesitated only for a moment before nodding. She'd been warned that this moment might come, that allowing a Novarian to directly contact the waystone could have unpredictable consequences, but she hadn't come this far to back down now. The elder's crystalline touch met the stone's surface, and the chamber exploded with light. Maya instinctively raised her arm to shield her eyes, but the brilliance seemed to pass through her flesh, through her very being. In that moment, she felt rather than saw the connection that formed, a bridge between minds so fundamentally different that their mere communication should have been impossible. "You speak truth," the elder's voice echoed in her mind, no longer requiring air to propagate. "But not all of it. Show us how this came to be." Maya lowered her arm, finding herself in a space that was neither the chamber nor anywhere else she could define. The elders surrounded her still, but they seemed more like suggestions of form now, ideas given just enough substance to interact with. 3 months ago, Maya began, her words creating ripples in the strange space around them. "We found something in Earth's desert. Not just the formula for the waystone, but this." She focused her thoughts, and the space filled with images from her memory. The excavation site in the Atacama, the impossible chamber they'd found buried beneath the sand. On its walls, perfectly preserved, were depictions of crystalline beings working alongside humans dressed in garments that predated known civilization. "Your ancestors," one of the elders observed, "and ours. Together." "Yes," Maya confirmed, "but that's not all we found." She brought forth another memory, the moment they'd discovered the chamber's central altar. Upon it had sat a single crystal, similar in structure to the Novarians themselves, but clearly artificial. The elders' forms pulsed with recognition. "A memory shard," the central elder stated. "We believed them all lost to time." "It contained instructions," Maya continued, "not just for creating the waystone, but for what to do once we did. It told us to bring it here, to this specific outpost, at this specific time, as if someone, millions of years ago, knew we would find it." The space around them shifted, colors swirling in patterns that made Maya's mind ache. The elders were communicating among themselves in ways her human senses couldn't fully perceive. "There is more," the central elder finally said. "The shard you found. It bears the signature of the prophet." The other elders' forms flared with intense light at this revelation. Maya felt the weight of something momentous, though she didn't understand its full significance. "The prophet?" she asked. "One who saw beyond time," another elder explained, its form rippling with shades of gold. "The last of our kind to master the creation of waystones. Before the Great Sleep, before we retreated from the younger races, the prophet left messages scattered across the galaxy. We spent millennia searching for them. And one was on Earth all along," Maya finished, "hidden until humanity was ready to find it." The central elder's form expanded slightly. "Ready, yes. But for what?" Before Maya could respond, the waystone in her hands began to pulse with its own light, matching the rhythm of the elder's crystalline forms. The strange space around them began to shift again, but this time Maya sensed it wasn't the elders causing the change. "It begins," the central elder announced. "The prophet's message awakens." The space around them transformed, resolving into what appeared to be a vast chamber filled with both humans and Novarians, working together at tasks Maya couldn't quite comprehend. But these weren't the primitive humans from the cave drawings. They wore technology that seemed advanced even by current standards. "What is this?" Maya asked, watching as the scene played out before them. "Not what is," the central elder corrected. "What was, and what must be again." The vision shifted, showing Earth from orbit. Beside it floated massive crystalline structures that Maya had never seen in any historical record. "Your world was once home to both our peoples," one of the elders explained. "Before the Great Sleep, before the forgetting. The prophet foresaw a time when the partnership would need to be renewed." "Why?" Maya asked, though part of her already suspected the answer. The vision changed one final time, showing something that made Maya's blood run cold. In the vast darkness between galaxies, something was moving. Something vast, something awake. "Because," the central elder's voice resonated with ancient power, "what comes next requires both our peoples to face it, together." The vision faded, leaving them once again in the chamber. But now Maya understood. The waystone wasn't just a proof of humanity's forgotten past. It was a key to their shared future. "So," she said, looking at each of the elders in turn, "what happens next?" The central elder's form shifted to a color Maya had never seen before, one that seemed to exist somewhere between hope and determination. "Next, messenger," it said, "we wake the others. All of them." The memory chamber. Deep within the Novarian outpost, Maya followed the elders through corridors that seemed to breathe with living light. The waystone at her belt pulsed in rhythm with the station's crystalline walls, as if recognizing something familiar in their atomic structure. They had been walking for what felt like hours, descending through levels that, according to every human survey of the station, shouldn't exist. "What you are about to witness," the central elder spoke, its form glowing with solemn purpose, "has not been seen by any non-Novarian in over 50,000 years." They arrived at what appeared to be a dead end, but the wall shimmered and parted like a curtain of liquid starlight. Beyond it lay a vast spherical chamber that defied physics. Its interior seemed larger than the station itself could contain. "The memory chamber," one of the elders announced, "where we keep what remains of our accumulated history." Suspended throughout the impossible space were countless crystalline formations, each pulsing with its own inner light. They ranged from tiny fragments no larger than Maya's thumb to massive structures that could have housed entire cities. All of them hummed with the energy she could feel in her bones. "Memory shards," Maya breathed, recognizing their similarity to the one found in the Atacama. "Thousands of them." "Millions," corrected the central elder, "each containing the experiences, knowledge, and memories of our people. And among them," the elder gestured to a particular formation near the chamber's center, one that glowed with an intensity that made Maya's eyes water. "The prophet's final message." Maya found herself drawn toward the massive crystal, her steps carrying her across what seemed like empty space. The other elders arranged themselves in a complex geometric pattern around her, their forms beginning to resonate with the chamber itself. "The waystone," the central elder instructed. "Hold it out." Maya unclipped the wooden box and opened it, lifting the stone. As soon as it was exposed to the chamber's atmosphere, it began to vibrate violently, its surface markings flowing like mercury. The massive memory shard before her responded in kind, its light synchronizing with the waystone's pulse. "What's happening?" Maya asked, fighting the urge to drop the stone as the vibrations intensified. "A connection forms," the elder explained. "The prophet left instructions for this moment, encoded in both the waystone and this shard. Together, they will show us what must be seen." The vibrations reached a crescendo, and suddenly Maya felt herself being pulled forward, not physically, but mentally, as if her consciousness was being drawn into the massive crystal. She tried to resist for a moment before remembering her training. Sometimes, the only way forward was to let go. The world dissolved around her, reforming into a scene from Earth's distant past. She stood on a plain that would one day become the Atacama Desert, but now it was lush and green. Before her rose a city that shouldn't have been possible, a perfect fusion of human and Novarian architecture, crystalline spires growing from stone foundations, organic and technological elements working in perfect harmony. "Welcome, messenger," a voice spoke, and Maya turned to find herself face to face with a being unlike any she'd ever seen. It appeared both human and Novarian at once, its form shifting between the two as if unable to decide which to be. "I am, or rather was, the prophet." "How is this possible?" Maya asked, struggling to process what she was seeing. "How are you here?" "I am not," the prophet replied. "This is but an echo, preserved in crystal and stone, waiting for the right moment to be found." "And you, Maya Chen, are that moment." Maya started at the use of her name. "You knew I would come." "I saw many possibilities." The prophet's form shifted again, becoming more distinctly Novarian. "This was among the more favorable ones. Tell me, what do you see around you?" Maya took in the ancient city again, noting details she'd missed at first glance. "Cooperation," she said finally. "Two species working together, building together. But it's more than that, isn't it? This isn't just about what was, it's about what's coming." The prophet's form brightened. "Yes, you understand more quickly than most scenarios predicted. The threat that approaches, it cannot be faced by either of our peoples alone. We learned this long ago, in another time, another iteration." The scene changed, showing Maya a vast darkness between the galaxies, but now she could see it clearly. A vast consciousness, alien beyond comprehension, moving with terrible purpose toward the Milky Way. "The Great Consumer," the prophet named it. "It has devoured 12 galaxies in its journey across the cosmos. When it reaches ours, only the combined strength of humanity's innovation and Novarian wisdom will have any hope of stopping it." "But why separate?" Maya asked. "If we were so strong together, why did your people leave Earth?" The prophet's form dimmed slightly. "Because some things must be learned independently. Humanity needed to find its own path, develop its own strength. And my people, we needed to remember why we chose to guide the younger races in the first place. And now the time of separation is ending. The waystone you carried here is proof that humanity has rediscovered the old ways. But it is more than that. It is a key that will awaken other memory shards across the galaxy, each containing a piece of the knowledge we will need." The vision began to fade, the prophet's form becoming transparent. "Your task is not complete, messenger. Finding the waystone was only the beginning. Now you must." Maya was suddenly pulled back to reality, finding herself still standing in the memory chamber. The massive shard before her had dimmed, and the waystone in her hands had grown cold. "What happened?" she demanded, looking to the elders. The prophet was about to tell me something important. The central elder's form pulsed with what might have been concern. "The connection was severed. Something is interfering with the memory chamber's harmonics." As if in response to the elder's words, a deep vibration ran through the station. Warning lights began to pulse along the corridors outside. "We have company." Another elder announced, its form shifting to alert patterns. A ship has just emerged from null space. Its configuration is unknown. Maya felt a chill run down her spine as she remembered the vision of darkness between the galaxies. Unknown, she repeated, or unprecedented. The chamber's walls rippled with nervous energy as the elders processed incoming data. Finally, the central elder's form stabilized into a pattern Maya had never seen before, one that spoke of both ancient knowledge and present fear. The great consumer, it confirmed. It sent a scout. We are no longer waiting for a future threat, messenger. The war for our galaxy begins now. Trial of trust. The Novarian outpost's warning systems pulsed with increasingly urgent patterns as the unknown ship maintained its position just outside the defense perimeter. Maya stood with the elders in the station's command center, watching as holographic displays showed the vessel's bizarre configuration. It seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, its surface rippling like oil on water. "It's scanning us," one of the elders announced, its crystalline form flickering with data streams. But the pattern, it's unlike anything in our records. Maya studied the ship's movements, her military training kicking in. It's not just scanning the station, she realized. It's scanning the waystone. The central elder's form pulsed with confirmation. The artifact's energy signature is unique in this sector. If the prophet's warnings are accurate, the scout seeks such signatures. Then we need to move it, Maya said firmly. Now. Impossible. Another elder countered. The awakening process has begun. To interrupt it now cold. The elder's words were cut short as the station shuddered violently. The scout had launched something, not a weapon, but a probe that was now attaching itself to the station's outer hull. It's trying to interface with our systems, an elder reported, its form strobing with alarm patterns. Our barriers are holding, but they won't hold forever, Maya finished. She looked down at the waystone, still clutched in her hands, its surface now swirling with agitated patterns. We need options. The prophet didn't show us all this just to let it end here. The central elder moved closer, its form shifting to analysis patterns. There may be one possibility, but it would require trust. Maya met the elder's gaze. Trust goes both ways. What are you suggesting? The waystone responds to both human and Novarian energy signatures. Together, we might be able to accelerate the awakening process, complete the prophet's message before the scout breaches our defenses. But it would require a direct neural interface between your mind and our crystalline matrix. No human has ever attempted such a connection. The risk of permanent damage is significant. Another tremor ran through the station. The probe was beginning to bore through the outer hull. How significant? Maya asked. 30% chance of success, 40% chance of brain death. The remainder, unclear. Maya almost laughed. Better odds than some missions I've run. She held up the waystone. What do we do? The elders arranged themselves in a complex geometric pattern around her, their forms beginning to resonate at frequencies that made Maya's teeth ache. The central elder extended a crystalline appendage toward her forehead. Empty your mind, it instructed. Do not resist what comes next. Maya took a deep breath, released it slowly, and nodded. The elder's touch was like ice and fire combined, sending shock waves through her consciousness. She felt her awareness expanding, connecting with the crystalline network of Novarian minds around her. The waystone in her hands began to pulse with intense light, its pattern synchronizing with both her heartbeat and the elder's resonance. Through their shared consciousness, Maya could sense the scout's probe getting closer, its alien presence like a dark stain spreading across her expanded awareness. Focus, the central elder's voice echoed in her mind. The prophet's message is still locked within the stone. Together, we can. Another violent tremor, stronger than before. Through the neural link, Maya felt the station's pain as the probe began injecting some kind of dark energy into its systems. We're losing containment, one of the elders reported. The scout's probe. It's not just trying to access our systems. It's attempting to corrupt the memory chamber itself. Maya felt a surge of anger cut through her fear. Humanity had just rediscovered its connection to the Novarians, just begun to understand its true place in the galaxy. She refused to let some cosmic horror take that away. Focusing all her will through the neural interface, Maya pushed her consciousness deeper into the Waystone's matrix. The elders followed her lead, their combined awareness creating patterns of light and energy that hadn't existed in the galaxy for 50,000 years. The stone responded, its surface becoming transparent, revealing layers of complex code and crystalline structures within. Through their shared perception, Maya and the elders began to understand. The Waystone wasn't just a key or a message. It was a weapon. The prophet knew. Maya sent through the interface. They knew the scout would come, that we'd need a way to fight back. Yes, the central elder responded. But to activate it requires complete synthesis. Maya finished, now seeing the pattern clearly. Human consciousness, Novarian resonance, perfectly aligned. The probe breached the final hull layer. Warning systems screamed as dark energy began pouring into the station. But Maya barely noticed. She was too focused on the intricate dance of energies between her mind, the Elder's crystalline matrices, and the Waystone's inner workings. Now, she commanded, her voice joining with the Elder's in perfect harmony. Together, the Waystone exploded with light, but this time it wasn't just electromagnetic radiation. It was something older, something that existed in the spaces between conventional physics. A wave of pure possibility expanded outward from their position, meeting the scout's dark energy head-on. Through the neural interface, Maya watched as the two forces clashed. Corruption versus creation, darkness versus light. For a moment, it seemed evenly matched. Then humanity's determination met Novarian wisdom, and the balance shifted. The scout's probe disintegrated, its dark energy unraveling in the face of something it had never encountered before. Two species working as one, their combined potential greater than the sum of their parts. As the light faded and Maya's consciousness began to return to normal parameters, she heard the prophet's voice one final time, echoing through the neural link. The trial is past. The true awakening can begin. Bridge between worlds. In the aftermath of the battle with the scout, the Novarian outpost hummed with new energy. Maya stood at a viewport, watching as crystalline ships emerged from hidden docks, their forms glowing with the same harmonious patterns that now coursed through the Waystone. The awakening spreads, the central elder said, approaching behind her. Its crystalline form had changed since their merged consciousness experiment, now carrying traces of what appeared to be human DNA patterns in its matrix. Other outposts across the galaxy report similar activations. The prophet's network is coming alive. Maya turned from the viewport, noting how her own perception had shifted. The neural interface had left its mark. She could now see layers of energy and information that had been invisible before, flowing through the station like rivers of light. "How many outposts?" she asked. 17 confirmed so far, each containing its own memory shard, each now resonating with the same frequency as your Waystone. The Elder's form pulsed with what Maya now recognized as excitement. But more importantly, we've detected similar activations on Earth. Maya's enhanced perception spiked with surprise. Where? The patterns suggest multiple locations, beneath the pyramids of Giza, deep in the Amazon rainforest, under the ice of Antarctica. Places your people have long suspected held ancient secrets. The Elder's form shifted to display a global map of the activation sites. The prophet didn't just leave us a weapon, Maya Chen. They left us a network, waiting to be rediscovered. A younger Novarian approached, its form carrying urgent information patterns. The long-range sensors have completed their sweep, it reported. The scout's destruction sent a signal. The great consumer knows we're here. Instead of fear, Maya felt a strange calm settle over her. Good, she said, drawing surprised color patterns from both Novarians. Let it come. We'll be ready. The The central elder moved closer, its energy field harmonizing with her enhanced consciousness. You understand what must happen next. Maya nodded. The neural interface had shown her more than just the immediate threat. She'd seen the Prophet's full plan, understood why humanity and the Novarians had needed to develop separately before coming together again. The network isn't just for defense, she said. It's a bridge, a way to share knowledge, technology, culture, everything that makes both our species unique. She held up the waystone, which now seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat. And we need to teach others how to build more of these. It won't be easy, the younger Novarian cautioned. Many on both sides will resist such deep integration between our species. Maya smiled. When has humanity ever let not easy stop us? Besides, she gestured to her altered perception. To the Elder's human DNA patterns, we've already begun the process. We're living proof that it works. The station's communication systems suddenly lit up with incoming signals. The activated outposts were calling. And beyond them, the sites on Earth were beginning to respond as well. Humanity's oldest mysteries were awakening, revealing themselves to be pieces of a plan 50,000 years in the making. They'll need guides, the central elder said. Those who understand both sides, who can help others through the integration process. Like us, Maya agreed. She could already see it. Teams of humans and Novarians working together, relearning ancient technologies, preparing for the battle ahead. We'll need to establish training centers, develop protocols for neural interfacing, create new forms of communication. She trailed off as her enhanced perception caught something at the edge of her awareness. Through the viewport, far beyond the gathering crystalline ships, a shadow moved against the stars. The great consumer wasn't waiting. It had begun its final approach to the galaxy. But Maya wasn't afraid. The shadow between galaxies was vast, ancient, and powerful, but it had never faced anything like what humanity and the Novarians could become together. The Prophet had seen this moment, had spent 50,000 years preparing for it, seeding both species with the tools and knowledge they would need. Send word to Earth, she instructed, her voice carrying the weight of both human determination and Novarian wisdom. Tell them to activate every site they found. And get me a ship. We need to start collecting volunteers for the first integration teams. The Central Elders Forum blazed with approval. And what shall we tell them they're volunteering for? Maya turned back to the viewport, watching as more crystalline ships emerged from their long sleep, their forms already beginning to incorporate elements of human design. Tell them the truth, she said. Tell them they're volunteering to save 2 galaxies and make history. Tell them they're going to become something new, not just human, not just Novarian, but a bridge between worlds. She smiled. Tell them the real work is just beginning. The waystone pulsed in agreement. It's like joining with the station's crystalline matrices to create a new pattern, one that spoke of hope, determination, and the limitless potential of 2 species working as one. Above them, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if the galaxy itself was awakening to a new age. The great consumer was coming, but it would find something unprecedented waiting for it. A union of species that proved cooperation was stronger than consumption, that creation would always triumph over destruction. The bridge between worlds was open, and nothing would ever be the same again. The end.